Hello, welcome to my channel. I'm Beata and I'm thrilled to have you here. This channel is all about diving into the exciting world of business management systems, sustainability, environmental management, and quality management. One of the questions at the beginning of the implementation of the business management system or quality management system or environmental management system concerns the differences between different types of documents, such as policy, process, and procedure. Sometimes even authors of documents have problems deciding which information should be captured in which type of document. So today I'd like to dive into this topic and compare those types of documents. In general, all business management documents within the company can be structured in a layered pyramid. Top down, we can differentiate, for example, policies, processes, procedures, work instructions, or standard operating procedures. Let's start from the top of the pyramid and look at the policy. Policy sets out the strategic direction of the organization as decided by senior management. A policy will contain statements such as we shall and we shall not, but won't give any direction on how this vision or strategy is going to be executed. Policy statements address what is the rule rather than how to implement the rule. Those rules shall be reflected in the implementation of the processes. Policies shall be written in clear and simple language. As they reflect general rules, they are not changed and updated very often, and usually they are not very long. Under the policies there are processes. By definition given in ISO standard, a process is a set of interrelated activities that turn inputs into outputs. Translating it into a common language, a process is a sequence of activities with a realization order in time, which converts a given input, for example material or information, into an output, for example result, document, or a product. Process focuses on what needs to be accomplished, but not how to do it. If it is required to describe how it has to be done, the explanation shall be given in a procedure. Processes operate at a high level and usually they are not limited to a specific function or department. Processes can depend on the integration of more than one department and may contain procedures. Some process may have associated one or several procedures, but not all processes need to have a procedure. On the third layer of the pyramid there are procedures. The ISO definition says that a procedure is specified way to carry out an activity or a process. Procedures describe how to perform the process. It is all about the specific actions such as filling specific registers, templates, forms, or action in the system or software on how a person or a group of people should do their job. As procedures represent an implementation of policy and process, they should be reviewed regularly and evolve over time as new tools emerge, risks associated with an area changes or in response to internal or external changes. The amount of procedures in a process is related to the complexity of a process. Usually, the more complex the process, the more procedures it will have. Procedures are specific documents. They have high level of details and for this reason they don't allow to see the big picture or the end-to-end process. A process is a zoomed-out or panoramic image. It shows the entire picture and highlights what is essential about the business. Whereas procedures are zoomed-in pictures, they add a lot of information and details to the picture without worrying about the background. We can attempt to add a fourth layer to our pyramid. A document called the work instruction or standard operating procedure, in short SOP. We already know that process transforms inputs into outputs, and that procedure says how to perform a process. And work instruction or standard operating procedure shall tell us how to perform a specific task in the process. Those documents shall very clearly and precisely describe the correct way to perform certain tasks. The work instructions are used to describe a specific operation, usually associated with a job, and are mandatory to be followed. If activities to perform a task are not mandatory, we would be talking about work guidelines. Alright, when we're talking about these different types of documents, let's compare them to get a clear picture. We've got policies, processes, procedures, and work instructions. Each one serves a different purpose. Starting with policies, think of these as the big strategic rules at the very top. They're like the guiding principles that tell us where we're headed and the general rules we follow. Next up, processes. These are like the step-by-step paths we follow to get things done. They're the sequence of actions that turn inputs into outputs. Imagine it as a series of actions to achieve a goal. Procedures come next. They're like specific sets of instructions for doing a process. They tell us exactly how to do something and why we do it that way. They're more detailed than processes. And finally, we have work instructions. These are like super detailed guides for doing a single task within a bigger process. So, if you're following a procedure, work instructions would be the nitty-gritty details for each tiny step. Now, when we think about how these documents relate to each other, policies are right at the top. They're like the boss rules that everything else follows. Processes connect to procedures. A process can have none, one, or many procedures that guide it. Procedures can include none, one, or multiple work instructions. They're like the middle ground between the big process and the tiny task. Work instructions are all about individual tasks. They're specific and focused. Moving on to the boundaries. Policies cover the whole business. They're the big umbrella rules. Processes stretch across business units. They're like pathways that cut across different parts of the business. Procedures can be broad or narrow. They might cover multiple parts of the business or just one. Work instructions usually stick to one business unit. They're very specific. And now, who's involved? Policies affect everyone. They're for all the roles in the business. Processes involve multiple roles. More than one group might be part of a process. Procedures also have more than one role involved. It's a team effort. But work instructions are usually for one role. They're instructions for a single job. Lastly, the level of detail. Policies are just the basic rules. They're not detailed. Processes are like the big picture. They show the major steps but not all the tiny details. Procedures zoom in a bit more. They're more detailed than processes. And work instructions are super detailed. They're like magnifying glasses for individual tasks. I hope that this comparison has been helpful. Let me know if you see any other differences I missed in this comparison. I would like to kindly invite you to subscribe to this channel and listen to the next episodes. This will be about tips and rules on how to write a good procedure and process. Have a wonderful day ahead. Bye, and I hope to see you soon on this channel.